All right, welcome back to the dungeon, and we got a bit of a first. We got a first, and I know I've been interviewing a lot of authors in the past. Have you been subscribed to the YouTube channel? Uh, Although I've seen that subscribers really don't count much to the algorithm. I don't know. YouTube keeps changing shit all the time, all the way they do things. But anyway, this is a first. We have our very first musical guest here on the channel, and now the do I call you by your stage name or your real name?
I either one works. My normal day-to-day life, people call me Ray Franks. But in the music circles, I spent many years being called Abby Normal.
Okay.
That started back in the '90s, and so there's some people out there that only know me as Abby.
Okay. So for those of you who are fans and familiar with Graveyard Boulevard, this is Abby Normal. Obviously, a call out to young Frankenstein, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And but if you're in the Carolinas and you support the local music scene here, and you're also a gamer, and you know him as a Ray Franks.
Yeah.
And there is so many damn gaming stores around here in the area. So I don't get your store confused with any other ones. What's the name of your store?
We're called the Comic Mon Store, so it's a good mix of comic books, games, and toys, and anything that's kind of geeky. You might find it. We love Dungeons and Dragons. We love the X-Men. We love Star Wars, sci-fi, fantasy, horror. I love it all.
Okay, great. Because when I did my prep for the today's show, I concentrated just on Graveyard Boulevard. It's like, I know he has a game store somewhere. I don't know. Is it somewhere north of here? I don't know.
We're in Salisbury.
Okay. Yep. That's
Salisbury. Are you in Charlotte?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So we'll put some plugs on here for any local folks, anybody in the North and South Carolina area. And anybody listening across the country or across the globe, if you're ever in the Carolinas area, look it up, and we'll put some links and stuff in the show notes for this video. But so Ray,
yes, Thomas,
Abby.
What's your stage name?
What stage?
Did you have a nickname?
I don't know. It's the channels. When I was looking for channel names, I wanted the Horror Geek, but there's already a Horror Geek out there.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, how about Horror Geekdom? I'd rather not so much a name, but a place. And then I don't know. Maybe so recently, I just threw the word dungeon at the end of it. So it's. So I'm Tom. Horror Geekdom Dungeon. I had to find something. All the good ones were taken.
Yeah, it's hard being original with so much out there on the internet. Try creating a band name these days.
Okay, well let's talk about the band name. That's a good segue. How do we get Graveyard Boulevard?
Well, luckily we've held on to this one for about 20 years. That's we started in 2003, and that was before social media really become a thing. I guess MySpace was growing around then. But no, Graveyard Boulevard, it rolls off the tongue. It harkens back to an older song in a previous band. We had a song called Graveyard Bash, and it kind of, in my notes of lyrics and ideas for songs and stuff, I came across it one day, and it's like, oh yeah, that was a good idea. I presented it to the guys 20 years ago, and they said, yeah, let's roll with that. So we stuck with Graveyard Boulevard.
Alrighty. Yeah, it does have a ring to it. Now you're the original, one of the original founders. You're like the lineup you have right now? You're one of the
I'm the last man standing of the originals.
you're the last guy. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Everybody's still friends. Just life happens. People go in different directions.
Uh-huh.
Marriages, divorces, children, just, it's hard to keep a marriage together for 20 years, let alone 3 or 4 guys with different lives.
Okay. So there's no there wasn't any major breakup. Right? It's like, okay, shit, life and shit just happens, and priorities shift, and availability changes.
Yeah.
So tell us about the lineup that you have now.
Right now, the current bass player is Brian Bates. He long time friend. He actually played in the band. Gosh, what was it? 2007, 2008. He's on a couple of the albums we released back then, and then life took him in a different direction for a while. And but anyway, he came back and joined us about a year or two ago. He's on our most recent album, and just a cool dude, just an easygoing, drama free, great bass player. He knows more about the technical side of amps and guitars and stuff than I do. But anyway, so there's Brian. Our drummer is Justin Glenn. He, I've known Justin for maybe a decade or so, and he's just been a fan, showed up at shows. I knew he did some singing for another local band, but he was in my shop one day after our last drummer quit, and he was walking out, and he just kind of sporadically said, "Hey, if you know anybody looking for a drummer, let me know." And I was like, "What? You play drums? Really? How have I known you for a decade and I didn't know this?" I'm like, "Yeah, what you doing next week?" And so we brought Justin in, and he keeps, he had a drum set that he loved, but it had some issues. It needed some new heads, and he needed a cymbal, and so I was like, let's get you sounding good, and he's come in, keeps getting better and better, and over the last, I guess, 6 months or so, he's doing great. And another just easygoing, likable, friendly guy, which is just so nice these days. So beyond petty crap that, just guys that want to play some music and not get too serious about. I mean, we're serious about it, but we know the realities of being in a band these days.
Right.
So that's Justin. Michael Shook is the last link in the chain that's holding us all together. He's the most recent addition to the band, and he's on guitar. And he's doing great. Another guy that I've known, because of the business, and he just had the look that he was a musician, So I was like, let me look him up. I was trying to find another guitarist, so I stalked his Facebook page for a little bit, looked at some of his videos. I'm like, oh, he can sing too. Okay. So I got in touch with him, and eventually he came in, and another guy that's just, just easygoing, just likable, and he's doing great. And we've had 4 really good, fun, enjoyable shows since this lineup has gotten together. We've got some more shows lined up. We're going up to Delaware before long for a horror punk fest up there, which is cool. We're going to hop on a train and go borrow some friends' equipment when we get to Delaware. And
okay.
So, that's it. Me, Brian, Michael, and Justin. I play guitar and sing.
Okay.
I guess I'm the primary songwriter, although I keep trying to tell the other guys, come on, guys, give me a riff. Let's write something, because I want everybody to feel like they're a part of what this is. I have no ego about that. I like collaborating and creating. So many times we'll have like a band practice and spend an hour with just the music absorbing us, and we all like look at each other afterwards like, didn't that just feel good? Don't you feel better? Yeah.
So do you have times like where you just sit around and just doodle and just jam? It's like, okay, well, let's just get together, and hey, if something comes out of it, great. If not, let's just have a fun time, just jamming.
There are definitely guys that are great at the jam band thing. I've never been one of those guys, though. I mean, I know scales, and I know, if somebody plays a riff, I can put a lead over it and be half-assed decent, But I've always been more of a guy that likes to plan things out. If it's
Mm-hmm.
a trip or business or a song. So for us, more it's me coming in and going, okay, I've got a song I want to show you. Here's the different layers. I want you to do this. I want you to do that, and then so I usually come in with a plan to do stuff instead of just random jamming because I'm not great at it.
Yeah, I'm the same. I play bass, and anytime we uh, back in my years ago gigging days, we would try to. Usually, it was our guitar player. We would try to get together, do a real good, serious. We got to get these songs under. We got the set. We got to get these songs under our belts and stuff like that. And our goddamn guitar player, damn you guitar players! All you want to do is noodle around and mess around and have fun. Uh, but but there were times I was like, okay, he'd be doing so, and I don't know. I guess a lot of people, maybe they won't be surprised, but a lot of people would probably be surprised that their favorite artist probably doesn't even know how to read music, or they come up
Right.
with they know what sounds good, they know what feels good, and they just they know they know enough of like, okay, I could do this here, and okay, let's mix things up a bit. But I'd always be like, okay, what? I like the jam and stuff like that, but I'd be trying to watch the guitar player, like see what kind of chords he was playing, and since I didn't know anything about guitar, I didn't know what the hell he was doing anyway. I was trying to find the root. Well, okay, what fret is his one finger on? Okay, I'll
Mhm.
try that one. I was like, what chord do you play? What's and I was on for always for chord charts, like when I was in my Christian days. I was a bass player on a worship group, and we had nothing but chord charts, and it was
Mm.
like, okay, here's a C or a C over G, okay, whatever, okay, I play the G, all right, I know okay, I know the position of where that is, and I would never do riffs. I was always one of these, because the band when the band. I guess when you have a small band, the bass player and the drummer are like that. This is why you have the bass player and the drummer so close to each other.
Yep, they're the
Uh,
backbone.
that's right. We gotta because we I gotta take my cues from the bass player. So I was and we didn't have all these other we didn't have any like orchestra or anything to fill in all the gaps. Um, so I wasn't one to play a bunch of trippy riffs. So I'd be just, whatever the tempo was, whatever the root note was, that's what I played just to keep. Yeah, I was really boring, but hey.
I guess if I had a regret about like high school, I wish I had taken music classes, but so I didn't get that basic understanding of reading music. I was more of the art kid, so I took
Mhm.
all the art classes I could because it was just my thing. But I was also like teaching myself how to play guitar because I'd come home from school and watch Headbangers Ball, and
Mhm.
and that was the inspiration. And but no, I mean, so yeah, I mean, a lot of it was me teaching myself. Also, later on, I dove in more into trying to teach myself how to read music, and of course, I can read tablature, and I understand reading a music scale now because my wife is a music teacher. She's actually got a master's degree in
Oh,
music
cool.
education. So
That
she
worked out.
yeah, yeah, yes. Between music and Star Wars, we like connected. So. Um, But yeah, so a lot of what I write is just what sounds good, like you were saying. And I also these days I try to write riffs that are a little bit difficult for other players to kind of pick up on and copy. I like it to be a little more intricate. Like I like learning Megadeth songs because there's you got to spend a little time figuring out what they're doing on some of this stuff. So
Mhm.
I'm not as good as Dave Mustaine or anything, but that's kind of my thinking. I want to make something. I want to write songs that are going to take a little time for somebody to learn how to play.
Now, when you get to that point where you're actually, you say you like to have something planned and laid out. Um, how do you reconcile the art of it, just being I don't know, for lack of a better term, artful, and being musically sound, or getting that, like the technique versus the expression? Is there like
uh,
a
hmm.
line that you have to walk, this tight road you have to walk between those two things?
You know, number one, I write songs I want to hear. I know I'm never going to be rich and famous and touring stadiums or anything. So I write songs that I'm going to enjoy. And a lot of that goes back to, a mix of punk and metal, in some fashion. And when I sit down with to write a song, a lot of times it comes to me just in my head first. Because in my mind, a good song really relies on a catchy, something's got to have a hook.
Right.
The chorus needs to be something you can sing along to, which is part of the reason why we grew up loving Kiss, because they had the songs you can sing along to but still rocked. So I'll usually start writing a song with some kind of catchy chorus in my head, and then I'll often build backwards from the catchiness. I
Okay.
got a good chorus, then okay, I can work backwards to the verse, and then the intro of the song, and on to the lead. And um, yeah, so writing a song that the melodic part of a song, that's the way I tackle that. As far as what I write lyrics about these days, when we first started, it was very much a shock horror punk band. We wanted to write about zombies and stuff, and to some degree we still do. But I really try to make the lyrics a little deeper these days. Try to put a little more, because you want to keep building on your craft.
Right.
I don't need to be better than you. I just need to be better than I was yesterday. Is the way I approach it. So I want to write, you know, more interesting things when you dig into the lyrics. A lot of times I like we have one newer song called "I May Destroy You." So at face value, hey, that sounds pretty angry and aggressive. But when you listen to the lyrics, it's about a guy talking to himself and about the inner struggles he's dealing with. And what am I doing? Am I destroying what I've built? So a little bit of thought provoking, lyrics in there.
Definitely. So yeah, the first album that now you have a second album that came out not too long ago, right?
We've actually done six.
Oh, six.
Yeah.
Okay, I could only found the one.
What are you looking on?
Apple Music.
Okay, I haven't actually looked on Apple.
Yeah, the
Kind
only
of.
one I was able to find was Ogre.
Okay, that was yeah, that was our fourth album,
Okay.
and that was the album that I really felt like we were kind of finding our you know getting where I wanted to be as musicians and songwriters. And the three albums we did before that were okay, but well, they had their issues. But Ogre, I felt really good about.
Okay. And
Um,
yeah, because I've the videos you have out, like from at least 5 years ago, 5, 6, 7 years ago. Uh, yeah, very very punk.
yeah,
It was. So what kind of stuff did you listen to growing up?
I was an '80s kid, so
Yeah.
my first concert was Ozzy Osbourne and Metallica. It was Ozzy was touring for the Ultimate Sin. Metallica was doing the Master of Puppets tour. So, I saw Cliff Burton, I guess, a few months before he passed away in the tour bus accident. So yeah, Metallica definitely, Ozzy, Alice Cooper, Twisted Sister. Wasp was always one of my favorites because I like you know, the bands that seemed a little bit dangerous, I guess.
Uh-huh.
Just caught my attention. Kiss in the early days. That's what I gravitated to.
That's yeah. I grew up in the '80s too, but I was big into synthesizers.
Hmm.
So Gary Newman is my ultimate favorite. In fact,
Yeah.
I think my first concert was a flock of seagulls.
I'm sorry. I guess it could have been Rick Ashley. I guess it could have been worse.
Yeah, but I've yeah, Gary Newman, Devo,
Mhm.
yeah, the synthesizer quirky type stuff.
Yeah, I mean, some
So
of that was really,
yeah,
was good. I mean, there's some of that I like.
yeah,
Because
uh-huh.
like the first album came out in 2003, which was way before Spotify, and I don't know when iTunes started, but we didn't get around to putting those songs on streaming services until many years later.
Mm,
So some of it's playing catch up on getting some of those songs on the streaming services. So it looks like things appear in a different order.
okay. All right. So you've had throughout the years of Graveyard Boulevard, you had different lineups and stuff like that. So uh, how does your current albums? First of all, how many albums have you had out?
There's a total of 6 physical CDs in
Okay.
existence. Starting in 2003 was the first one, but online on the streaming services, Spotify and YouTube and stuff, they're they appear to be released in a different order than they were. So it's a little confusing, but yeah, 6 real albums exist.
Okay. And do you still play some of your older stuff when because you had a gig here in the local area last night? So
Yeah.
so when you have that many albums and songs in your collection, how do you go about setting? Okay, these are the songs we're going to do. I mean, I'm assuming you're given okay that somebody tells you, all right, you have 40
And
minutes.
yeah.
It's like,
It,
all right, what songs do we cover in the 40 minutes to do you rely heavily on new stuff? Do you sprinkle in some old stuff that people would know, or how do you come up with a set list?
well, the since we've got basically a new lineup this year of band members, I told them, listen to our library of songs, tell me which ones you like, which ones you want to do, and I let them choose. So, um, you know, and they chose some of the obviously the better songs in my opinion, which I was glad to hear. There's still a couple more I'd like to do that they haven't had a chance to learn yet, but most of them, a lot of them came off that Ogre album, Organization of Generally Rotten Enterprises, because that was a good album in my opinion. I'm proud of that one. Some of them are off the newest album called Will Wither, and we threw in a couple of cover songs, and then we've written 3 new songs. Well, I take that back. We've written 2 new songs, and we've redone an older song.
Ah,
Um,
okay,
yeah, so we'll be releasing those soon, over the next several months. So we got 3 new releases coming up as singles over the next few months.
oh, cool, all right,
But
excellent,
shameless plug. This is Will Wither. This is the most recent album we released in October.
okay,
I'm very proud of this one. It's got 16 songs on it. Yeah, on Spotify and all the streaming services too, or you can buy it online at comicmonstore.com, which is my business in Salisbury.
okay, all right, and we'll put links to those things in the show notes of this video. So go down in a little description doodly doo, and you'll see those. Um, yeah, so just let's take a side quest, as it
Mm.
were, and talk about now when you're not a rock and roller at night. You are a store, uh, retail store, game store owner,
Yeah.
manager, right? Okay, so let's talk. Yeah, I find when I do these things, there's a lot of you see those little circle diagrams where it's like, okay, you have this circle of friends and this circle of friends, and they all kind of it's wild how my my horror fans, music and DJ friends, and gaming friends, and D&D friends, and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff, and even a few motorcycle friends. They all kind of like, there's some point. At some point, you're going to meet someone who knows someone else in another circle. That type of thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. There's a crossover. Yeah.
it's wild. So yeah, tell us about your store.
Um, so also about 20 years ago, the store came about right around the same time that the band came about. So the band and the store is both celebrating 20 years this year. Um, so the store is called the Comic Mon Store, Monstore. It's in Salisbury, North Carolina. We carry comic books, games, toys, play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering here. I think the first time I met you was actually at a gaming convention.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm a huge fan of science fiction, fantasy, horror. There's just so much of that world that I just, I love. I love the escapism of it because the real world makes you want to escape.
Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons why I'm such a horror nerd.
Yeah. We've had some of our songs in some independent movies. We had a song called Fluffy Bunnies in Happy Land that our buddy Jason Buterin put in his Devil's Lettuce movie. So
okay. Yeah. Now I actually I saw the video of that. I don't know if it's, but it and I guess a lot of your earlier stuff is just you could, I mean, the punk influences are definitely there. But yeah, I saw the video to uh, the bunny song. I just love that thing.
That was so fun. That was so fun. Our bass player came to practice.
The video reminds me. The video reminds me of if you've seen videos of Gorillaz. That band.
Oh, I'm familiar with them, but I've never listened to them or watched any of their videos.
Okay. You don't see their unless their animated versions resemble who they look like in real life, but it's all animated. So
okay.
But that's what it kind of reminded me of. So
okay.
And what? I'm sorry, I interrupted you. What would you say about the bunny? The bunny
Oh,
song?
Fluffy Bunnies. Yeah, that one came about because our bass player came to practice one day and he said that his wife had made some comment to him about, why don't y'all write songs about something nice like bunnies or something? And he came and told me. I was like, challenge accepted.
I talked a little bit about putting the set together for your live shows. Now, for your albums, and you just mentioned a little bit ago your newest album, Will Wither.
Yes.
Now, out of this, from the 16 songs that are on there, how many more songs did you write or attempt to write or attempt to, something that either just didn't jive or didn't click together, or maybe you wrote it and completed it and it was like, nah, these other 16 are fine. These other 16 are better. This is more like a B-side.
There's no other songs that we recorded and didn't make the cut. There were plenty of ideas that I kind of wrote in my, office at home that, would marinate for a while. And, I'd try to turn it into a song that I liked, but, just kind of didn't rise to the top. So I just, would end up throwing in file 13.
Okay.
So there were plenty of those,
All right. So you have like a file, we call it file 13. So has any songs that have been in file 13 that is like, okay, I don't know. I don't know when I sit down and try to write something, and I don't call myself a songwriter. I'm like Gary Newman. I consider myself an arranger of noises. I just put together a bunch of really cool noises together and see if it makes sense. If it makes melodic sense, But Yeah, has there been any songs that was in File 13 that actually made it out and made it onto either like a live gig or an album?
Maybe in the early years, because we were just kind of desperate to kind of get something out and get going. And so there are songs that exist that are out there that I listen to now and cringe and think, we shouldn't have put that out. We should have just not. I've kind of learned a lesson from that. I try not to put something out now unless I'm just really feeling pretty good about it. Of course, there's always the songs that rise to the top that are just going to be better than the others, but um, more what happens more often is I've got just a notebook of ideas of song titles and cool lyric ideas that I'll try to fit into a song and it just won't fit right, and then I'll just forget about it for a while, and then 6 months later try to come back to it with a different view on it, and then I'm able to turn it into something.
Mm.
uh, I guess the best example of something like that is we have a song called "Sometimes the Rain," and that is a song I'm pretty proud of, and that's on the new album. And it's a song that I think I marinated on that. I dwelled on that song for about maybe 4 years and wanting to turn it into a great song, and I felt like it was just kind of always it needs something else. But I just kind of kept working at it, and eventually that one turned out to be a very meaningful, powerful song because it's still in about loss. Our bass player at the time had a tragic loss in his family, and my dad had passed away not long before that, and so it's just kind of the feelings came together and the emotions were
Mm.
right at the time, and that's what helped elevate it to, yeah, that's what that needed to be.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, sometimes it's just like you gotta be in the either the same headspace or like that one. It's the certain certain situations or certain circumstances that
hmm
just really feed that. I got. I guess this feeds that creativity. It was like, okay, it's something that I'm feeling that I have to. I just need to get out and.
yeah. And some of the best songs in the world, really just there's emotion behind,
Hmm.
what's happening. Those are the songs that really kind of resonate with a lot of people.
Yeah, I had read somewhere, and it was a long time. I don't remember where it was, but it was like they talked about why and how bands that were so big and so just hit my mic. Bands that were so big and so and just hitting putting out the hits over and over and over again, and then all of a sudden they get dry or they put out an album and it's like nobody listens to it or nobody's like it's
hmm
like. And one of the things that they touched upon is um, there's an element of pain that goes into a really good song that connects with people, and the double edged sword, so to speak, with a lot of these really big bands that were playing bars and backstreet gigs and stuff like that, and all of a sudden get a record deal and they're playing all these arenas and stuff like that, and everything gets soft and easy for them. They lose their edge,
Yeah.
and that's usually the time where they're just I don't know. They're not putting out music that really connects to people like they did in their early days, early years, their early albums. It's more like bubblegum music. It's just something that you
Yeah.
just chew and spit out, and yeah.
Yeah, it's and I guess when you're on a record label, a lot of times, like I guess record labels pushing you to have stuff out by a certain time. It, I've been fortunate enough with this band that I don't get to tour the world. We've done plenty of up and down the East Coast, and that's a lot of fun on Weekend Warrior stuff. But my day to day life is the comic shop, and that pays my
Right.
bills and it's made life comfortable for me. And helps feed my pay for my hobby of making
Right.
music. So sometimes I wonder, like, oh, I wonder what the grass is like over there if I were able to tour Australia. But I'm like, life is good. Don't, So by being in that position, I haven't felt pressured to, I've got to write new songs and have them out by this date or whatnot. It's just whenever something comes to me and things are feeling good, well, let's take this to the studio and, put it down at my pace or whenever, my schedule allows for it or wants to do it.
Right.
So there's something nice about that.
Yeah, and I think that's really the key in how you're able to maintain it being fun.
Yeah.
It's just because if it wasn't fun, uh, yeah, then it becomes work. So it's like, okay,
Right.
I gotta go, yeah, or yeah, and then you get into all this like, okay, well, I have to have something out. It's like so, it's almost like, yeah, let's just have fun doing what we're doing, and I mean, you want to you have a your band has a certain level of success along the East Coast, and especially here in the local scene. That it's when people see little post-its around Noda on the telephone poles was like Graveyard Boulevard. People recognize the name. So
It's a cool feeling. I mean, I definitely appreciate it. I think it's awesome that some kid in the UK contacts me through Facebook, and it's a great feeling that somebody on the other side of the world cares. But um, life is good.
that's great. So yeah, keep it fun. The you, and again, you want to be like you talked earlier. Is like you want to be serious as far as like putting a good show out. I mean, knowing that people are paying money to come see you perform, it's like you don't want a bunch of people that are all playing on different keys or shit like that, or the bass player didn't change his strings or whatever, or whatever things that were or notorious for not doing.
Yeah, I mean, there is a certain amount of professionalism that you want to
Right.
present with. Yeah,
So
and you act like a professional, you get treated like a professional a lot of times. And so many times, a general rule for life that I've learned is just be friendly and cool to people, and most of the time things will work out. We like last night we went into the show. It was a venue we'd never been to before. We weren't exactly sure how many people were going to show up or whatnot, but we just went in there with a good attitude, made the most of it, and left with more money than we were expecting, and felt good about it. And the
cool.
tip bucket was nice, and you just be nice and cool to people, and that's my motto, and it just works out.
Yep. Yeah. When you're nice to people, it's nice to be nice to people, and I think stuff like that you'll definitely have people want to have you come back and stuff
Yeah,
like that. Do like so. Yeah.
we
But
had. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was going to say we had some new stickers printed up recently, and some of them are the logo of the band and stuff. But I printed one. It's like, we got to do this one. It says, "Just fucking be kind," and that's the one we sell the most of. Like
There
people
we
walk up
go.
to the merch table, I'm like, "Oh, I want that one." Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah. First of all, what do you remember the very first song you wrote and committed to recording?
I think so. I think so. There were a number of them that came out about the same time, but there's one that comes to mind. It's called "That's My Mom,"
Okay.
which was that was definitely inspired by a movie by Peter Jackson called Dead Alive. Have you ever heard of that one?
Yes.
So it's Peter Jackson before Lord of the Rings.
Right.
But there's a scene in the movie where a dude's in the graveyard and he's taking a leak on a gravestone, and I don't remember exactly what happened in the scene at this point because it's been many years. But the line that is said is, "That's my mother you're pissing on." I was like, "Oh yeah, let's write a song about that." So that's how That's My Mom came about.
So, what kind of movies did you grow up or liking, or do you have any uh, newer movies that grabbed your attention?
Um, yeah, let's see. So, okay, so as a kid of the '80s, so of course all
Right.
the Jason and Halloween movies, that's just kind of a given, Um, Godzilla movies, of course, loved all that stuff. Um, but as I got into my 20s, that's whenever I really started going back and uh, researching Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff and watching all the Universal monster movies, and
Mm.
fell in love with those because it was just such a different style, but it was just something that I just I wanted to watch all of them. Like there was like 2 years there where I was like trying to track them all down and collect them for my movie collection and stuff. So I loved all that, and um, then discovered Ed Wood and wanted to know all about Ed Wood and watched the Johnny Depp movie, and then wanted to go back and find the classic horror, the sci-fi movies of the '60s, and so went down that road and enjoyed all that. And then so speaking of like that era of sci-fi, stuff from the '60s, I think about 20 years ago there was it's a modern movie, but they did it in that retro style. Have you ever heard of The Lost Skeleton of Cadavra?
No, that's a new one for me.
That's a fun movie to watch. Um, and they did that movie very much in a style. I think some Ed Wood influence, but it's so campy and so goofy and so fun that we recently wrote a song about that movie called "Science Beware" because it's just that ties into what's happening in that movie. So yeah, that's the most recent song we've written about a movie.
Okay.
As far as newer modern movies, I've enjoyed Cabin in the Woods, Drag Me to Hell. I don't think I've watched too much from the last 5 years, though, honestly.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Too busy with the store
Yeah.
and okay. Yeah, that's understandable. So, but it's cool that you're still doing the music. So,
Mhm.
um, so what's your inspiration, or where do you get your ideas? You mentioned, like the past 5 years.
Mhm.
This is not so much heavily based on a horror movie. Uh, where do you find your inspiration, your ideas musically? Where do they come from?
Let me see. Let me look at the song titles here and refresh my memory. So I May Destroy You is the first song on the newest album, and that song, it sounds aggressive, angry, but actually that's about a dude talking to himself and dealing with his inner struggles. So that's more of a real life story in those lyrics. Then the next song I see on this album is The Year the World Stood Still. It's just about 2020. It's just all the headlines of 2020.
There we go. Yep.
Then we got one called Worst of the Earth, also about 2020. One Last Dance of the Dead. Yeah, so, so that one, at face value, it sounds like it might be about zombies, and that one's written so that the listener can decide what it's about. So, One Last Dance of the Dead could be about zombies, or was it about something that was happening in the political climate of the last 5 years, or was it something else? So I like to write songs that are lyrically a little bit ambiguous and thought provoking.
Okay.
What else? Shadows over Arkham. That was definitely Lovecraftian inspired.
Right.
Uh, all the Broken Pieces. Okay, so if you want to dig up one of our songs, I would be interested in hearing what you thought of All the Broken Pieces, because there's some synthesizer in there. It's
Okay.
very much, we added like some Stranger Things sounding synth in that. But that's a song about a guy I went to high school with, and how he, very talented guy, but he just kind of threw his life away and wasted his talents because of drugs. But that song musically is pretty thought provoking and heavy, and there's a lot of layers of music instruments going on.
Okay.
So, that's an idea of what some of that's about.
Now, what as a songwriter, what when you approach a song, what comes first? Does the lyrics come first or the music?
For me, it's usually I something catchy gets stuck in my head, and um, I will often write the chorus of a song just in my head. I hear it, and I'm like, oh, that sounds good, and then I'll vocally try to figure out what the notes are, and then I'll translate that to the guitar. And once I have a good hook or chorus of a song, then I start working backwards from there. Because if you got a good hook, you know that's to me where I want to start. And then I'll write the verse, then go back to write the beginning of the song, and then write the lead and or whatnot. That's the way I approach it.
Okay. Now, for all the gear geeks out there, I'm trying. It's like, okay, what kind of amp do you use? What kind of guitar do you? What kind of strings do you use? That type of thing. So we'll throw that bone out to people. So yeah, what kind of guitar do you have?
This is one of those times that I wish my bass player was here because he's the techie guy and
Oh,
he
okay.
talks about this stuff all day long. I very much came from just a plug in and play punk rock roots and didn't worry about it too much as long as it just sounded good to me. But I can tell you, Marshall, I've got a valve state Marshall, which I've just grown to love. It just sounds good for what I enjoy. And I'm playing a Schecter. It's a Diamond Series She Devil.
Okay.
Again, just a friend brought it to me one day. I played it in practice. I'm like, yeah, this is it. And I left the Les Paul in the case for years after that. Once I got the Schecter, the Les Paul is my backup guitar. Oh gosh, and that's it. I did buy a Boss GT 1000 foot pedal recently, which I'm noodling around with. I still haven't. That's an amazing bit of newer technology that can do so much stuff, amp modeling and all the effects that Boss has ever made just in one pedal. But it's almost so overwhelming. I just need to take a month and really learn it, and I just haven't sat down and figured it all out yet.
Yeah, I guess that's another tightrope that you got to walk, where it's like, all right, you have all this technology, uh, and I don't know. Do you feel like music? I mean, they're talking about music being created by AI now,
Oh, right.
and
Yeah.
so do you think that's we're going towards a place where music is just? I mean, like we talked about briefly before. It's like it's gonna lose its edge. It's gonna lose the emotion that so many people connect to, and it's just gonna become just I don't know, cold, stale, soulless.
It's a concern because I've been seeing that a lot, especially with the AI generated artwork and some of my artist friends and how you can find some really cool AI generated artwork online right now. And the pros are it's cheap and free in many cases. The cons of that are it can't be copyrighted. So if I wanted to go get a piece of AI generated artwork and throw it on my album cover, I can't copyright it because that's just the way AI is right now because it's created by a human. So anybody could take it and steal it and use it or whatever. But there's a big push amongst my artist friends, just and hire a real artist when you can because it's just like I support small businesses when I can. I want to support my musician friends. I want to support my artist friends. That's just the way I think we should approach it. And I haven't heard an AI generated song yet. I don't think. I've seen AI generated lyrics, and
Right.
they're pretty basic and not very deep. But I don't know. I don't know where it's going. I mean, a lot of electronic music just sounds AI generated to me anyway. Wouldn't know. Um, and I guess that's why I prefer, real instruments. If I know somebody's really playing a bass or really playing a guitar, or if those are real acoustic drums, I can feel it. I can, there's something about that I love. Listening to a real jazz band, AI can't duplicate that, can it?
Yeah.
I hope not.
All right. Well, Ray, Abby, whatever. Ray, if you see him at the store, call him Ray. If you go to one of his concerts, call him Abby.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go. So if people want to find out more about you, the game store or Graveyard Boulevard,
Or the game I designed,
yes.
Hot
Or,
Mess.
okay. All right. You designed that, right?
Yep.
All right.
I like
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was right before the pandemic, I guess. Anyway, me and my son came up with an idea to create our own game, and we went through all that. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. Still have my Mace cup
Yep.
is sitting on top of my Huntmaster
There you
coaster.
go. You got that at the convention we were showing the game off at the first time. Cool. I'm glad. That's awesome. How that coaster. Nice.
If I see you at the game store, I'll call you Ray. When I see you in concert, one of your gigs here in the Carolinas, I'll call you Abby. So, Ray, Abby, thanks
Abby Ray.
Abby Ray. Yeah, that goes better. Abby Ray. That's better. Abby Ray, thank you so much for coming into the dungeon. I hope we didn't hurt you too bad. And
No.
if feel free anytime you have when your next album comes out. Maybe perhaps next time we get the whole band together. I know you said they were kind of camera shy, but hey, if they could go up, tell them this. Tell them the Horror Geek said if they could get up on stage where a whole bunch of people are seeing them live, then they could get onto a camera where nobody could touch them, nobody could throw anything at them, right?
Yeah.
You can't. They could throw something, but they'll just break their camera, right, or their computer screen. So if they could appear in front of people live, they could appear in front of a camera. Tell them Horror Geek said that, and I want to see them next time you come on. I want to talk geek with your bass player. So
yeah,
Abby Ray, thank you so much again for coming on, and yeah, good luck to you in the store, in the game, and in the band. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.